Hi, I'm Dave and welcome to RPG a Day. Today is day 15. Hey, that's about the halfway point. Well, very nearly the halfway point for RPG a Day. So, what is today's question? Today's question is longest campaign played. As you probably noticed the way that the questions are structured, we've had 5 days which have all been about favourite writer, favourite things like that. This is a weekend one. So today's one is longest campaign played, whereas tomorrow is longest game session played. See, there has been some thought gone into these questions. I haven't just randomly slammed them all down. Oh, possibly. So, longest campaign played. Thankfully, I've got a bit of help on this one, and I'm very honoured to have the legend that is Robin D. Laws in helping on this one. You'll probably recognise Rob. Let's just pull up a list of his accomplishments. He's worked on D&D, Feng Shui, Hillfolk. Just very honoured to have him on board for this one. So, over to you.
Hi, I'm Robin D. Laws, and I'm answering the RPG a Day question of what my longest campaign ever was. And actually, it was fairly recent. It was a playtest campaign that I ran for Feng Shui 2. As a game designer, I'm often having to switch suddenly on a dime between one game that I'm working on or playtesting and then on to the next one. And so thanks to my long-suffering players, hi long-suffering players, I often have to leave them in the lurch or quickly jump out of something, but the development window for Feng Shui 2 is long enough that we managed to have a big, long, fun campaign where the villain slash ambiguous friend who was set up at the very beginning of the year paid off at the end of the year with a big epic battle, and there was lots of development along the way. And so it was not only useful for playtesting purposes, which of course any playtest has to be, but was fun and felt like it had a whole coherent shape to it as well, which is a rare and fabulous thing, and that's part of the reason why I'm so glad that Feng Shui 2 is now available, and hopefully you'll get to have as long and a fun campaign as I did.
Thank you, and thank you for taking part. That's amazing. Right, so longest campaign played. It's probably going to be a very close draw between two. One was a very old game back in my teens, which will have been my RuneQuest game. The GM of RuneQuest, Pete, hi Pete, had the Big Rubble supplement. And he showed us the map of it once. It was this enormous, huge area of desolation, and all the adventurers used to hang out in this little town bit at the corner and then go off into Big Rubble to adventure and stuff like that. We were rubbish. As characters, we were pretty crap. We went in there, used to get beaten up, and then head back to the village again and spend some experience and try and get better and fix all the armor and stuff like that, and then go back in. I think if we played Big Rubble for at least 2 or 3 years, and we only really investigated the tiniest little bit in the bottom corner because we never really got in too far, which must have been really frustrating for Pete because he'd spent his money on a really big chronicle for the game, and didn't really investigate anything very exciting in there at all. The other game which would probably come a bit close to the length of time we played with that one was my old occulty, World of Darkness-y cult witchcraft game, which kind of morphed between 3 different game systems, but all had the same characters. It started off as a Vampire the Masquerade game, which I was running here and back in my old hometown for multiple players, and all the plot lines kind of merged together, so the events in that one group of characters were having affected the other group's things, but even though it was all set in London. And then I started playing a little bit of werewolf and some mage, the Ascension as it was back then, all still set in the same setting, and the mage game continued despite the vampire one fading into non-existence. The mage game was still in the same setting, and that morphed into a cult game which became witchcraft, and I think that's about when it stopped. Was when once again lost my players, and I started concentrating on the writing side of things rather than just the playing. But that was a great game. Loved that one. Woo! Corker. So yeah, probably about 2 or 3 years for each one. So what's the longest campaign you've played? It could be that it's not so much a published campaign, it could be just a campaign that you're playing with the same characters. Is it something that you've just been going on for ages? In my first D&D game, I took over a 9th level paladin from a player who'd been playing it for about a year and didn't want to play anymore, so I just continued their character, but it was all one long continuing campaign as far as the characters were concerned. Tell us your stories. That sounded a bit weird, didn't it? Anyway, join in the conversation with RPGaDAY2015. Make sure you hashtag that on all the social medias and stuff like that. Spread it around. Thank you again to Robin for taking part in this one. And you can download the image to find out what the questions are for the rest of the month. And until tomorrow, stay multi-classy.